Hello,
Hello,
everybody. Welcome back. I'm Paul Brooker, and today I am joined by Piers Corbyn. Hello, Piers. How are we doing?
I'm doing very well, and it's great to be on your show.
Fantastic. Now, just for our audience out there who don't know who you are, could you just give us a little
Okay.
bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Piers Corbyn. I'm a astrophysicist and physicist and theoretical physicist, but I spend a lot of time doing campaigning against the new world order, which is being imposed upon us now. I've been arrested 20 times since May the 16th, 2020, and I'm still pressing on. And my main slogan is resist, defy, do not comply.
And what a
Okay.
wonderful slogan that is as well. Um, I was just actually doing a little bit of research on you before the show, and I saw your most
Okay.
recent arrest was the beginning of this year. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's all was on January the 18th. Uh, I think. Oh no, the most recent arrest. Um, yeah, I'm getting me confused. No, the most
Palestine
recent arrest
Action?
was for Palestine Solidarity. Yeah, Palestine Action. That's the one. I was in Parliament Square along with a lot of other people protesting against the banning of Palestine Action as an organisation. And I think whatever you think about anything they may or may not have done, the banning is wrong. So I was there and I was arrested and taken to a police van. The
Oh, dear.
cases for that have not come up yet, except we're all meant to appear on the 27th of this month at Plumstead Police Station. There's about 900 people being arrested. So it's going to be a crazy event down there, unless the powers that be drop it, which I think they might.
Well, that's
But
an
most of
interesting
my
one,
other
isn't it?
arrests, yes, it is. A very important thing I've been saying in the movement and in the Palestine movement is that Palestine and freedom fighters must unite in common cause. That everybody's got to unite in common cause. But you see, there's sort of created differences between the two. I mean, we're told, oh, if you're left wing, you support Palestine, and if you're right wing, you support action at home to defend yourself. Well, this is ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, I'm against genocide and I'm against the attacks upon the British people. So we do have to unite, and we've been very successful in giving out leaflets on freedom events and on Palestine solidarity events, and we will carry on doing so. And we have got a lot more support than at the start. Obviously, we raise things like vaccine and so on, which is something some people that call themselves on the left don't like us wanting to ban it because a lot of them have been jabbed and they feel upset. However, we've made big headway on that. And of course, as you know, the Japanese government survey shows very clearly, completely proved that death rate increases when people are jabbed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Just backtracking a little bit
Yeah,
to your Palestine group that
yeah,
you're involved with. What we're seeing a
yeah.
lot of is they get infiltrated by organizations like Antifa, absolute
Oh,
far
yeah,
right that want to cause trouble. And
yes,
what my theory is, and please tell me if I'm wrong, they're using Palestine Action, whatever that, as a scapegoat because of the violence. But they've now brought in powers,
yeah,
and they've proved these powers. They can apply that anywhere they see fit now, and taking away the freedom
that's
of
right.
protest. Am I right?
I think you're completely right. There will be infiltration in everything. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, Lenin allegedly said that if you want to deal with the opposition, the best way is to organise it yourself or infiltrate it. So, of course, that doesn't mean everyone doing action is a police agent. In fact, 99% of them are not. But you see, there will be influences in groups to do things, and there will be people who naturally want to do everything they can to oppose genocide. And those things will not get used by the police or anything to justify whatever they want to do. But of course, that doesn't mean that anything. We protest in all sorts of ways. That doesn't mean we don't protest in case they uh, want to use that against us. We do what we need to do, but beware. that there will be powers that be manipulating everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, no more so than just yesterday, I believe, the BBC getting caught out for editing Trump's speech to make him look like he was inciting violence. The narrative that's
Yeah,
painted by mainstream media is crazy.
absolutely. Well, we go outside the BBC, people may know, every Thursday between 1 and 2 or thereabouts, and talk about the most recent nonsense coming out of the BBC and the issues of our time. And we do get a lot of interest in that. The security guys listen to us very closely, and it's quite interesting. Well, we don't argue with them. We're just saying, look, we're here to make your media people in the building listen. And we have had, well, I don't know if they listen or not, but we've certainly had some success in getting the message across through alternative media, seeing what we're saying.
I mean, you do this every day between 1 till 2. I mean, that is a massive undertaking.
No,
And maybe it
every
is.
Thursday,
Oh, every Thursday.
not
Sorry,
every
my
day.
apologies.
Every Thursday. Yeah.
Every
Yes.
Thursday.
Okay.
Now, you might be having some effect because we're seeing whistleblowers coming out and people who
Yes.
don't want to sit there being henpecked anymore from the BBC telling you,
Yes.
no, this is what we're doing because they've had their orders from the government up above or the cabal, whichever way you want to call it. And so much is being exposed now. I mean, seeing the Trump speech being exposed is amazing because, wow, they literally broke the
Yeah.
law on that, broke it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's monstrous. Yeah. Well, we do know there are people in the BBC who agree with us because we get off the record comments, but I can't say who or what or how much. We don't really know, but we know there is feedback of people who are sympathetic. I think that thing about editing Trump's speech is interesting, but it's not actually new. During the miners' strike, the BBC speeded up the film of the demonstrators, the miners fighting against the police, and put that in front of a report, and then the police fighting back after that. What actually happened, though, was the other way round. The police attacked the miners, and then there was some fighting. And the the BBC speeded up the film of the miners' response and made it look completely the other way around. And Tony Benn reported this in Parliament, well, this is how things go.
Yeah. I mean, we're
So
seeing
we
we're
do
seeing the
have
fall of
to,
mainstream in real time, aren't we?
yes. This says phone overheating, don't close. Sorry, here we are. It's all right. Carry on. Anyway,
No
so what should
worries.
we do? Shall we carry on? Have you got a question, or shall we move on to DigiID, or what?
Oh, I've
Whatever.
got plenty of questions, Piers. I mean, we need to talk
All right.
about something massive, which you've just said then, digital ID, because I just found out
Yes.
yesterday they are now using it for the DVLA. I thought this was supposed to be a trial, but it seems like it's turned into a mass rollout.
Yes. Absolutely right. The main thing I say about DigiID are two things. One is it's if they get it in, all our freedoms go, and we're totally controlled because it includes programmable money. So you do something wrong, like break your carbon footprint, they can take money out of your account straight away. Now, if that happens, it will regiment people into being automatons. They'll do what they're told. That's the first thing. Second thing is, though, we're busy fighting the law about this, which is good. We must. But at the same time, they're bringing it in anyway. And even if they don't have a law, they'll start doing all these things. They'll start control. They'll start taking money out. So we have to look at the actual things they're imposing, and there's two things mainly, or three, I suppose. One is they're bringing in cameras everywhere, as you said, and so they're used for DVLA, they're used for ultra low emission zone stuff, all of that, and those are going into some central computer. Second thing they're doing is they're attacking businesses directly by telling them they've got to sign up to gov.uk one login, which is the same process. And then businesses are going to have to get their employees in line. So this is the whole thing happening without the law being passed. So, we have to deal with the realities. And of course, during the ultra low emission zone, we had the slogan, drive at will, do not pay, take down the cameras. And of course, a lot of cameras did get taken down. And some councils indeed didn't put them up or took them down. So, that is the way we have to go. And the most practical stuff, I would say, for most people, is to keep cash. Because if they get away with putting us on digital, we're going to be controlled. So you have to go into shops and say, look, if I'm going to boycott you if you don't take my cash, or take the goods, put the money on the table and go, which, as people know, I did in Aldi about a year or so ago, and that got 6 million hits for just a 3-minute event, which I thought was fantastic. So people should do that. I mean, seriously, because cash is freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we say, yeah, 2 things should be done now. Everybody in every area. One, have campaigns of explanation to get the public to understand the real dangers, which includes demanding MPs and councillors listen, but also just to get people to understand. And secondly is practical actions, like keep cash, groups of people going into supermarkets, and so on. Not arguing with the staff directly, it's about the whole operation of the supermarket, And I in Sainsbury's, for example, I always go there and I will pay cash. He says use the machines, and no, I want to use cash. And I said, those machines are your jobs, and the guys understand that. They know them to taking away their jobs. So the staff are really on your side. We've got to build that. We've had a couple of events for this campaigns of vaccination. One was in Cardiff, which was very successful, and one last weekend in Gloucester. And I'm going to be in London in a few weeks' time, I believe. But they're happening all over the place, and people are doing them. Debbie Hicks is doing them, for example. And I say, the better. And if people want to know more, join the Telegram group, which is Stop Digi ID United! On Telegram.
Absolutely, because
Okay.
if we don't have cash, and this is something that I found out a little while ago, without cash, a woman who is the victim of domestic abuse, where the husband controls the bank cards, everything like that, she can't run away.
Yes. No.
And
Completely.
that's scary, because he could take away the smartphone and give her a dumb phone and she can't access anything. So letting them bring in digital ID plus taking away cash, there's going to, I dread to think what could happen. And that's just the tip of the iceberg about domestic violence cases. There's all sorts that could happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree with you. We'll have to think practically. Other things are online. There's lots of this. If you'll go online and say, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? They give you some options to be more and more digitized. Look, just say no. Well, you want to decrease, as we say on our fantastic little leaflet here. I'll hold it up. It says in the corner there, cut your digi-track. You see, we don't want to increase digi-track. We want to cut them. And, use paper. But when I go in the shop, I always ask for a receipt. I mean, I chuck it away, of course, but I want a receipt. Something has to happen in paper. I don't want digi everywhere. I want to reduce that completely. Okay.
Very much so. Now, I'm going to move on to a subject that you know a lot about, as you said at the start of the show.
Okay.
3-Eye Atlas. Why is there so much attention being drawn to this?
Yes. Well, the first thing, I think it is a comet. And it's a very special comet, an unusual comet. And they've had quite a bit of time to prepare a story because they officially spotted it in July. They might have seen it before. Well, there's something interesting coming on. What story can we make? And, they've got this Professor A.V. Loeb, who I've met, by the way. He's a very intelligent, very good, accomplished astrophysicist. And I talked to him about Sun-Earth relations at a conference. But he is a Harvard Israeli-American astrophysicist. So obviously he's the sort of guy who will want to push any narrative that they want to have. Now, the narrative he's pushing, and he's very careful. He doesn't say there are aliens there. He says there could be this, could be that, and then people in our movement jump up. Yeah, the aliens are there. They're all coming, and then as a roller game, and people are trying to get hits talking about it. So the message is going out there somehow that there could be aliens minimum, and a lot of people think there are. Well, the response to this has to be, well, we need a world government, don't we? We've got to cope with this because we might be under attack. So it's all to promote world government and stuff like that. And well, we just have to, look objectively at these things. I mean, I think there are aliens out there, but you see, the idea that they're humanoid is probably ridiculous. I mean, they might all look like cockroaches. I don't know. They might look like worms. They might look like jellyfish. We don't know. So this humanizing of these things anyway is probably nonsense. But the idea.
Oh, sorry, Piers, you broke up then for that last little bit.
Yes. Okay. Right. So if there are aliens, the idea they look like humans is probably ridiculous anyway. But the point is that if you look at the details of what they claim about this comet, or they say a camouflage spaceship, it's ridiculous because they show you pictures of a piece of rock and then there's Hollywood pictures of a spaceship, and a lot of people are getting them muddled up and they don't know which is which. And they've got this thing about, the track of the spacecraft, if it is, changed. Now, when you look at the amount it's meant to have changed by, it's infinitesimal. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. It's millimeters per second. It's tiny compared with Earth's gravity. So the acceleration they imply is ridiculous. So that could have just happened if there is an actual change from what would be expected under normal gravity. It could have been caused by the solar wind. The great rush of particles from the sun at 1,000,000 miles an hour hitting a piece of rock will change its track very slightly, and that they might have detected that. And another thing that's crazy about the claims is they were saying, oh yes, when it gets near to Earth, then they're going to alien spaceships, little spaceships, will come out of the mothership, right? Now that I said, look, this isn't going to happen, guys, because if they were going to do that, they would have out these little ships a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because that's the only way in the orbits involved could they reach up. Otherwise, now they've got to move these alien subspaceships backwards in the wrong direction from which they're moving, and they're moving at fantastic speed. So in the wrong way. So it can't be done, and it won't be done, and it wasn't. So let's just see. So it's a psyop to program us into thinking we've got to have world government.
I mean, this is a psyop that's been going on for generations, isn't it? They keep once in a while they keep throwing the alien thing about, don't they? Acting like, watch out, they're coming, they're here, you name it. More often than not, normally it's a military test exercise out in America.
Yeah, of course.
But just asking one last thing on the 3i Atlas, because this is the other thing which also helped cause the hype on it. The signal that was received that came from the same direction.
Well, the thing is, there's signals, you could call them signals, or things coming from space all the time in all directions. So wherever it's come from, you can find something that you can say is the signal. This is a long time ago type of things, like months or whatever. The recent signal, though, they say they're trying to decode something, and then they play this noise, and I think, well, what is this? It's just noise. It could come from anything. I really don't know. The point is they got control of so much data, information, and access to, look, in the universe, there's masses of things going on. You can always find something to point finger at it. You know, so I don't think there's evidence of a signal. And they say they're desperately trying to decode it. Well, I don't know. Look, if there were intelligent beings out there, or if these were intelligent beings trying to communicate with us, they would have worked out how to speak English already, I'm sure. You know, I mean, they wouldn't. If they got this far, they know how to communicate with our systems. Suddenly, they'd pop up. Maybe you'd get replaced by an alien on my screen and suddenly start talking. I mean, I don't know. It's the idea that perhaps you are an alien, Paul. I don't know. There we are.
Or a
These
lizard man.
ideas are, yeah, the yeah, it's all hype to wind us up. Now, I'm not saying there aren't aliens, I'm sure, but and that there may have been visitations. I don't know, but this stuff is to wind us up.
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Now moving on to the next thing. So we've got RFK Jr. now shouting from the rooftops
Mhm.
about vaccines and how
Mm.
actually we
Yes.
don't need them. And the direct relation to autism since they brought in the big pharma exemption where they couldn't be sued for any adverse reactions. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I've got mine and I can tell you now, you ain't sticking no more needles in my arm.
No. Well, I haven't been vaxxed since the COVID stuff started. When I was a child, I was given various things, but I don't think those things are so dangerous as now because now they put in mRNA and all of them. I've had friends around here, the treasurer of the Tenants Association some years ago, friend of mine, great guy. He had his flu jabs and he felt ill and, well, he's now dead. Now, I can't say the flu jab killed him exactly, but certainly he said it made him feel ill. And I thought, Jesus, well, I ain't going to have it then. Um, that was about 3 years ago now. Uh, I think all of these injections now, all of them, are dangerous, and I won't take anything at all. Um, they are specifically designed, the mRNA COVID things, to injure and kill. That is proven by the Japanese government survey of all deaths over a year. And it shows that if you have been COVID jabbed, you are more likely to deal. Probability of death increases. And if you haven't been jabbed, there's no change. So it's a proven case. And we show this to some, XR people or people on the so-called left. I mean, I don't agree with left-right definitions anymore. But they get very upset to think that vaccinations don't work, largely because they've been jabbed themselves. And I show them the graph, and some of them are knocked back and listen, which is important. Others just don't want to see the truth, and that is a problem, isn't it? Because people don't want to be told that they're going to get ill or die or get well, all
Yeah.
sorts of things might happen to them. Mainly heart conditions.
I mean,
So we
there's
have to
there's one
explain
hospital, isn't there?
nicely to
Oh,
people.
sorry.
And carry on, yeah.
I was going to say there's that one hospital this year where 80% of staff have refused the seasonal flu
Yes,
vaccine because they've realised
that's right.
it does more harm than
That's
good.
right. That's right. It does more harm than good. I mean, were vaccines ever good? I don't know. I've looked at some of those books about that, and basically, the effectiveness of vaccines at minimum has been vastly overstated. You see, the polio vaccine, so called, doesn't seem to have achieved anything. The polio vaccine itself, this is pre-mRNA stuff, um, causes polio type reactions. So it causes a polio. Um, and then after they started administering this, they renamed um, the effects of that into something else and said it wasn't polio, but it was the same thing. So whole lots of games have been played, and who is behind it? Well, big pharma, making vast amounts of money by vaccinating the world in all sorts of ways. So I say we've got to have a complete overhaul of the way the NHS operates. It's good at helping you if you broke your leg, but for this stuff, it's controlled by big pharma. We have to take big pharma out of it and go to more natural cures because there are many more natural cures for a lot of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right because I was told that God gave us everything on this planet to heal ourselves, to help us, you name it. And I'm sorry,
That's
but
right.
from what I've seen these last few years, vaccines have just been a way for big pharma to top up their profit margins. That's it. If they're a
Absolutely.
bit low one year,
Absolutely.
it's time for a new one to be rolled out.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes,
Now,
completely.
Now, we've talked about all the problems out there, but how do we change it?
Mm.
Because our political system here in the UK looks like America might be starting to sort itself out, is an absolute
Yeah.
mess. We don't know who to trust. I mean, reform seem to be absolutely crushing it at the moment, but do we trust Nigel Farage at the head of it?
Well, no, I do not trust him. Specifically, a group of us went along to one of those debates about the climate and nature bill. And Nigel Farage had been making lots of noise against these net zero and all this nonsense, which follows from it. But he didn't turn up. He wasn't at the meeting. None of his people were at the meeting. And that is just completely ridiculous. It makes no sense. So it seems he's part of a different agenda while pretending to be on our side. Another thing that happened recently was Anne Widdecombe appeared on Channel 5, BBC, and said that, in fact, the leadership of Reform want Digi ID, but they're not telling you that. And we went along, a group of us, to Nigel Farage's headquarters on Millbank and tried to find him. He wasn't there, fair enough. But we left a message and said, look, Nigel, this is what Anne Widdecombe says. Is it true or is it not? And we've heard nothing. Look, I mean, at least he could tell us it's true or not true, but he says nothing. So to me, I think it is true. And, there's other forces behind Nigel Farage. Um, Another thing is different people will want it for various reasons. Now, we know about the Together operation, which is a completely fake opposition, and you can look up the history of that. Go to my Twitter account to find out. But they have been campaigning for digital rights, which would mean you could have Digi ID, but you'd have rights under it. So you could withdraw or something. Well, okay. But once they get the system in, the rights will be withdrawn. So that's a backdoor way of getting in. So people who talk about Digi rights, don't trust them. Say, look, that's a prison. We don't want to be in a prison with rights. We do not want the prison, period.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about other political parties? Well, my brother's Your Party.uk, which I have joined, by the way, is at this point in time, and he's made speeches about this, is totally opposed to DigiID. And I think that is a step forward. The other parties are, as I said, vague or ambiguous or dishonest. Because it's a very big thing, this, understand. This is the key to dystopia. If the World Economic Forum and so forth get this in place, we are in a digital prison. And we'll be jabbed. You'll have to be jabbed to get anything because your Digi ID will tell you this, and then you're going to get ill, you're going to get cancer, and so forth. So, it's a really important thing, guys.
I mean,
And do not stop. Yes.
when I look back at this all keeps going back to the WEF, the
Yeah.
globalists, the 1%.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at their agenda, it's reduce the population to 500 million so it's more manageable.
Yeah.
Manageable. Not to save the planet, manageable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you look at everything they're doing at the moment, this Bovir thing to stop the cows farting. Well, it turns
Oh
out
my God.
Denmark are now up in arms because the cows are dying or they're not producing milk. This is
Mm.
an agenda that is spanning across everything and trying to centralize power when no two countries are the same in how their economics work, their people work, their beliefs, their religions. It's absolutely astronomical because the damage it is doing, what they want to do to us is basically sterilizing us, in my words, and
Yes.
reducing our
Yes.
lives.
Yes. 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 No, completely true. Completely true. And all the net zero argument is insane when you look at the actual scale of activity of human beings. Because of all the CO2 coming in and out of the sea and the land, man's contribution is 4% of that. Well, okay. I mean, all sorts of animals produce a lot more CO2, bacteria. The human part of the world living carbon is actually infinitesimal. The trees are most living carbon. Animals are a small amount of living carbon, and humans are a tiny amount of that. So, of all the living carbon in the world, mankind contributes or is part of or is 0.01%. And
Yeah.
as I said, man's contribution to CO2 flux in and out of the sea is 4% of that. So it's just complete nonsense. We can't change anything. The animals are ruling on that, or bacteria.
Do you know what? And this is only because when I started doubting it, because the sea levels are still exactly where they
Yeah,
were, I started
they
looking into
are. Yeah.
this. This planet self balances. If there is more
Of
CO2,
course.
the plants grow accordingly to balance the CO2.
Correct. Correct.
Greenhouses have
Correct.
CO2 generators. So their climate agenda is total lies. But what I want to state is I believe in keeping rubbish and pollution down. That's what I believe in
Of
with
course.
regards to the climate and the deforestation, which I'm against. But to tell me that
Yes, yes.
humans and cows are responsible for all this is absolutely crazy.
Completely. Yes, absolutely crazy. And what we say to the farmers, and we've got a little group of farmers which meets and we talk. Although I'm not a farmer, but I was, I spent the first 18 years of my life in countryside and knew a lot about farming. We say um, that you have to fight the climate con. And there's this slogan around farmers no food. But actually, you think about that slogan. It's what Bill Gates says. He says, "No farmers, no food, eat bugs." Well, we don't say that. I said to the farmers, "Look, we don't want to say that. We say, yes, farmers, yes, food, break the climate con." And we got a lot of support for that. That is the way. But the No Farmers, No Food and the National Farmers Union are diverting the issue away from fighting the environmental lie and getting people to talk about the taxation system, which is right. They've got to talk about that. But the central issue is the lie being imposed upon us, and that's what we have to oppose. And well, press on. We got a Telegram group on Yes Farmers, Yes Food, Break the Climate Con, and join that. But if people want to know more about what I'm doing when we visit places, we call it Join Us. So when we're outside the BBC, it's a join us event, so anyone can join in, basically. My Twitter account, or X as it's now called, is at Piers_Corbyn.
Brilliant. Is that the only social
Okay.
media you have, Piers?
No, well, I've got an email and Telegram and so forth, yes. But the best way to find me is there because I don't. Well, I'm trying to reduce my digi footprint, so I'm sticking to that one as much as I can.
Brilliant. Well, Piers, thank you for
Yes,
joining us today. We're going to put all your links down below. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And for everyone out there
thank
who's
you.
free on a Thursday between 1 and 2, you might want to head down to the
Yeah,
BBC and find out what they've lied about next. So thanks, everybody. Take
that's
care.
right.
God bless. See you all soon.
Take care.